All right, excellent. So thank you everyone for being here with the Marlboro Regional Chamber of Professionals in IT. So it's myself, Ty Jordan from Sen Chait, and this is Dave Vecchio.
Hi, I'm Dave Vecchio from Suite 3. We're headquartered out in East Hampton and have a location in Marlboro at the Tier Point Data Center. And I'm happy to take part and support the Marlboro Chamber in this initiative.
Hi, this is Emily Greenwood with EKG Networking. We're in Marlboro, Massachusetts, and really happy to be here on behalf of the Marlboro Regional Chamber of Commerce in this technology initiative.
Hi, I'm Steve Messinio with Satara Systems. We're headquartered in Hopkinton, Massachusetts. Again, we're also a chamber member of the Marlboro Regional Chamber of Commerce. Glad to be here and provide some great information for you guys today. Hey everyone, it's Steve Messinio from Satara Systems, here to kick off the rest of this presentation. You'll be hearing from me and my three colleagues here shortly, and what we're going to do is share some additional information about cybersecurity, and everybody's going to give their little take on it. I'm going to start from a business experience level and talk about why it's so important and some of the things I learned as a business owner in a previous business with respect to cybersecurity, and that if I hadn't done the right thing and worked with the right IT service provider, well, could have been in a lot of trouble. So, but to get started, what I want you guys to know as observers of this presentation and our future presentations that we do as a cohort here in the IT space for the Marlboro Regional Chamber of Commerce is that this is just one component of your IT infrastructure. And if you're in business that relies on your IT infrastructure to be productive and keep your data secure and move things forward as far as your company's ability to grow and do business with other people, well, then IT should not be looked at as a necessary evil, but as a positive investment that's going to provide you with a great ROI for that investment. All right. And that's one of the things that we find, at least I found in talking to a lot of business owners, they look at IT as something that they just need to do. They need to have a computer's work. They need to make sure that there's some sort of antivirus in place. And as long as the computers are just functioning and then their employees are going to be able to work on them and be productive and so forth. What they don't look at, though, is the bigger picture, because as computers get older, as technology gets older, those things start to break down just like anything else. And if they're not careful and not doing the right things from a daily maintenance standpoint, including updating cybersecurity on all the computers that your company, your employees are using, then there increases the risks for things that happen that are not good with respect to productivity as well as security. And so those breakdowns that occur can actually cost you more money as a business owner than not having them occur at all. And so making the investment into consistent management of your IT infrastructure on a daily basis is what we're here to talk to you guys about, to teach you it's better to keep your computers in the best condition possible, keep your network in the best condition possible, so that you can remain productive and not have to worry about the time down or the disaster that may occur or the breach that may happen that could cost you thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, as well as a lot of time, which that time will actually cause you to be ripping your hair out versus actually getting things done for your business. And I say this, as I said earlier, based on my own experience, and let me share my story. Prior to being the business development officer for Satara Systems, I owned my own physical therapy practice. I'm a doctor of physical therapy, and I had three very successful practices that had grown to about 20 to 25 employees who were using computers all the time, including our therapists documenting about patient care, our front staff doing scheduling, other reasons we had to use computers. And so we had a wide computer network extending over three clinics. Well, for years, I made the mistake of working with a smaller IT vendor who basically couldn't keep up with the growth of our company as we come to learn. And as a result, a lot of the things that we should have been doing all along in improving our IT network to match the growth of our business weren't getting done. And so finally, oddly enough, Satara Systems came along, and the owner of Satara Systems is my friend, Martin LaChance, that I've known for a number of years. And we finally had a conversation. I'd known him for 9 years, and we hadn't actually talked IT for my practice, only because he wasn't being pushy on it. And I basically told him I was all set. Well, that was my mistake, because I should have brought Martin in a lot sooner, because he got there just in the nick of time. My server was on its last legs. I had a bunch of computers that couldn't even get updates anymore because we were on the wrong operating system. They couldn't upgrade to the next Windows system. And our whole Microsoft Office suite was outdated, and we need to upgrade our licenses. And there were a lot of things we were setting ourselves up for failure, but most importantly was the cybersecurity piece, because we didn't have the right security pieces in place, the right antivirus, the right firewall. All that stuff was antiquated, and we could easily been set up for a huge breach in our patient data, which would have been an immense HIPAA violation and cost us thousands of dollars that would have put my practice out of business. And so thank God Martin came along and educated us on the importance of getting this done right and having the right cybersecurity process in place, never mind the rest of the IT infrastructure that we need to replace. Now, this cost us a heck of a lot more money than we anticipated up front to fix. And unfortunately, that had to be done. We had no choice in the process. And so we made the investment, and it was probably the best investment we ever made, because after making that investment, we noticed a lot of things stopped happening. A lot of those breakdowns in computers going down and lost time due to employees not being able to use computers, and frustrations that came up as a result of that. All that stuff went away because we had a proactive IT service in place. And that's really what we want you to get out of this series that we're doing for you, is to understand that making your IT infrastructure work and doing it in such a way that allows you to sleep at night and not worry about things breaking down is a far better investment than trying to do a break and fix model where you're reacting to a problem versus being proactive with it. And so that's what I want to start with today. I'm going to pass it over to Dave Del Vecchio now. He's going to get into some great information for you, as well as then to Emily and Ty. By the end of this presentation, we'll have a basic understanding of some cybersecurity that you should be considering for your business. And in the end, we also want you to then continue to tune on to the additional webinars that we do in the next couple of months that'll also help you improve your IT infrastructure and give you some information that we think will be valuable to the growth of your business. So thank you for watching. And now here's Dave.
Hello, I'm Suite 3 President Dave Del Vecchio. We're an IT services provider based in East Hampton, Massachusetts, with a satellite office in Marlborough at the Tier Point Data Center over on St. Martin Drive. Thank you very much to the Marlborough Chamber for inviting us to be part of this initiative. If I asked you as a business owner why you do what you do, I mean, speaking business owner to business owner, I'm sure that you love what you do, and I'm sure you love your employees. I'm sure you love taking care of your clients. But ultimately, the reason we run our business is really for them. This is my family. You know, I have a wife and 2 daughters. My 2 daughters are 16 years old. Both are high school juniors, which means hopefully this summer we'll get to spend some time doing some campus visits and, saving some money for college expenses. And ultimately, this is why we do what we do, right? We need to take care of our families. And ultimately, when it's taking care of our business that takes our priority, it's really because we're trying to protect our family interests as well. And as a result, if I ask you what a hacker looks like, and people think about the guy in the black hoodie sitting in their mom's basement, there's still an aspect of that that's in place and in play. But ultimately, there are bad guys out there looking for data, and they're looking for data out of your business, whether it's extorting you by ransomware, whether it's stealing your data with data exfiltration. And it's easy to get scared, and I'm not trying to scare you. Ultimately, the risks are real, and we need to take them seriously. And ultimately, it just requires our attention. Just like we manage financial risk in our organization, we have to manage IT security risks as well. And unfortunately, in the last year, there's been a security risk that's kind of bubbled up to the surface that a lot of businesses didn't think about in the past or didn't have to, and I wanted to bring it to your attention today. Back on March 10th, Governor Baker first announced the state of emergency in regards to the coronavirus pandemic. And as part of his announcement, he alluded to that stay-at-home orders would be forthcoming. And if people had the ability to work remotely, they should do so. And what that meant was many people were scrambling, trying to begin to shift to a work from home model. And in our case, in less than 24 hours, all of our people were able to pivot and work remotely. And this was a scene of our East Hampton office less than 24 hours after Governor Baker's announcement was made. I was the only person in the office when I took this picture. Everybody else was working from home. And the reason we had the flexibility to do that was we had already put remote access infrastructures in place as part of our business continuity plans. We had moved to a hosted voice over IP phone system, which means we could use soft phones on laptops as well as using traditional desktop phones in our office. We had the ability to use things like the Microsoft 365 universe, which is all cloud-based, not only for email, but for collaboration platforms like Teams, where we could have internal communications or client meetings and so forth. And we also co-located all of our internal line of business applications in an infrastructure that's actually housed in Marlborough. In fact, you could say that from a technology standpoint, we're headquartered in Marlborough with a satellite office in East Hampton, because Marlborough is where all of our data exists. And ultimately, that means that we have the ability to access it, whether we're in our East Hampton office or working from our various homes or client sites. And so we had the ability to make the pivot quite easily. Unfortunately, not a lot of companies did, or if they did, it was limited and it needed to be expanded rapidly. And what that ultimately resulted in was that many companies made a rush to implement remote access platforms. And shortly thereafter, articles like this started to appear in the trade magazines that spikes were occurring in the security incidents around certain remote access platforms. Because quite often, in the rush to either build out or expand a remote access infrastructure, security was put by the wayside, and speed and scalability had taken priority. Ultimately, work from home is here to stay in some capacity. Now, perhaps a year from now, there's going to be more of a hybrid approach where some people will return back to the office while others are still working remote. However, in general terms, work from home is not a fad, and everybody is not going to go back to their brick and mortar office. There's going to be a certain aspect of work from home that's going to continue. If it continues in your organization, there's no better time than today to commit to having a security review done on your remote access infrastructure. If it's been put in place and you've been fortunate that you haven't had any security incidents around it, it doesn't mean that the risk doesn't exist. It simply means that you've been fortunate to date. There are security updates that are necessary, and there are reviews that should occur to make sure that while the technology you needed was put in place to allow your business to function, it was done so with a security mindset and with security in mind. And part of that is the continual review to make sure that the security best practices remain in place. So make that commitment today to not only protect your business and your corporate assets, but to protect your family as well, because ultimately that's what we're all in this for. So I'm Dave Del Vecchio, president from Suite 3 in East Hampton. Feel free to reach out to me. If you can spell my last name, my email address is on the slide. But if you can't take it down quick enough, please contact the chamber. They'd be happy to put you in touch for a follow-up. Good luck to you. Keep calm and compute on, and on to the next presentation.
Thanks, Dave. This is Emily Greenwood from EKG Networking. We've been a proud chamber member for over 24 years and in business for 25, helping small business and nonprofits with less than 50 employees figure out their technology and be able to focus on their business rather than worrying about it. Today, my piece is going to be on data and compliance. So from the previous people talking about their strategies, they were talking about VPNs, remote work, and their experiences with technology companies. And that wraps around the data and compliance, making you feel secure because you've got the security outside of everything. So internally, how do you address that? Internally, your data is important because in your folder structure, where you keep all your data, is it locally? Is it in the cloud? Is it on laptops? Getting a handle on that is kind of important, making sure that who has access to that data. You may have salespeople in the field. You may have a lot of people working remotely right now. So making sure they store their data in the correct place, in the correct way, so it can be backed up is important, and who has access to it. Reviewing this on a regular basis or auditing it on a regular basis will help too. Take a structure, maybe one folder, maybe your marketing folder. Who has access to it? Do you have all your logos together? Do you have all your collateral in the right place so you can grab it quickly, making life and business easier to deal with? And if you're using personal equipment and people out in the field, are you encrypting those hard drives for those laptops? Encryption is basically wrapping around the data in a manner that keeps you having access to the data, but not somebody you don't want to have access to the data. And in the event you lose a laptop or something happens, the ability to get rid of that data safely. So the importance of encryption is you have to have the decryption key. So in the event something happens, you can get the data back. If you don't have the encryption key, you can't get the data back. So if you're using BitLocker or you're using semantic endpoint, you always want to make sure you have that encryption data secure and in place. And reviewing that annually or as staff changes is important. Auditing all this is important. Making sure you have a trusted partner that you can look to say, am I okay with the data I have out there? Do I have an inventory of all my equipment? Which leads us into backup strategies. You always want to have 2 exits in a building to make sure you can get out safely. It's the same with backup. You always want to make sure you have 2 ways of backing up. Whether it's using an external hard drive to back up a laptop, to maybe image a laptop, this makes it easier to upgrade a laptop, to upgrade to a newer hard drive, but also makes it easier to restore. Now, in the event you have a ransomware attack, it makes it harder because that will encrypt that external hard drive too if it's connected at the time of the attack. So having a cloud-based backup off-site that someone can't get to is important as well. Cloud-based backups tend to restore slower, so it wouldn't be your primary method of backup, because if you needed to replace a hard drive on a laptop, downloading that all from the cloud could take a long time, as the vendors tend to slow things down when they see a lot of data come down. And in some cases, some vendors don't allow it. So you want to verify that your backup is working as well. Checking it once a quarter, checking both methods, making sure that it's working, that you can restore a file is important. And if you're using a cloud vendor for your storage, check in with them on their backup. Don't assume they have a backup. In some cases they don't. In some cases they may only do 90 days. And you may have things that you want to back up further than 90 days in case you do version changes and somebody overwrites a file. You can create a local backup from a cloud backup with a lot of different vendors. So also this takes us into compliance. Every industry has compliance that is specific to their industry. If you have a trusted advisor that helps you with the compliance, this can be a great resource to check into with at least quarterly, just to make sure you're up to date on all the legislative nuts and bolts within the compliance of your industry. And as that indicates to data, how does that impact data? Well, in some cases, you may be required to store an archival copy of your data or an archival copy of your email. This can be achieved through the help of your IT professional, or you can do it yourself if you have the time. Where do you save your data and why do you save your data is important for compliance. If you're saving sensitive data locally that contains personal identifying information, social security numbers, credit cards, combined with addresses, why are you saving that? Do you need to save that? Can you trust the providers and vendors that you use with their security to make sure that that's their job? If you have a payroll company, such as ADP or Paychex or one of the big payroll companies, their job is to secure that data. And their job is to make it so you can get to that data securely quickly. Maybe have them secure that data and keep it rather than you keeping a copy of it. And review this annually at least, if not quarterly, just to make sure you've got all your ducks in a row and you're being compliant in your industry. It helps you sleep nights. So kind of to sum up, review these things regularly. Maybe take an extra 5-10 minutes at the end of each staff meeting just to look at one thing, a folder, a backup, just look at something to make it easier to feel better about not worrying about technology. Technology is a big part of business nowadays. Pick one area at a time. Don't let this overwhelm you. I've hit you with a lot of information, and each one of these people has Dave, Steve, and Ty have brought a lot of information on this. The good news is this webinar is available and you can watch it over and over again. And breathe. Once you breathe, you can kind of tackle anything. And find a trusted partner, someone that you can ask so you don't have to worry about the technology and you can focus on your business. I'm Emily Greenwood with EKG Networking. We're based in Marlborough. We've been doing this for 25 years. We really love what we do, supporting small business and nonprofits with under 50 employees. I really appreciate the opportunity to be a part of this MRCC Technology Collaborative. And off with it, Ty, take us home.
The presentation I'm going to present to you today is going to be focused on cybersecurity. So you'll get some tips on how to secure yourself, whether you're at home, whether you're at business, or whether you're doing things for work. I hope you guys enjoy and get ready. So Sen Chait would like to present you with the segment here that is known as cybersecurity. And inside of that, we're going to get some details going on how you can take advantage of the knowledge we put out. So, what does cybersecurity mean to you? So, Sen Chait would like to present you with the segment here that is known as cybersecurity. And inside of that, we're going to get some details going on how you can take advantage of the knowledge we put out. So, what does cybersecurity mean to you? What it means to most is the ability to have a strategy that's in place that helps you navigate against any potential risk or threats that could harm your own personal network or your business network. Taking into account some strategies to see if you're secure. Are you secure? How do you know if you're secure? These are great questions to ask when it comes to looking at cybersecurity. Tips for increasing that cybersecurity, small little snippets of things that you can do, whether you're at home or in your office or working from home. You can always make sure that you have a safe internet connection. How do you do that? By examining your network, making sure that you have the best vendor available, whether it's for your home or business. Also making sure that your hardware is up to date. So you're using things that are relatively within their useful life. You don't want something that's 10 years old because it might not be as effective as you need it to be. When it comes to looking at hardware, you definitely want to make sure you have an updated router. An updated router will definitely help you get that internet traffic you're looking for, and it can handle the speed of which you're trying to perform, whether that's with helping the kids work from home online for school or working from home yourself, and also in your business environment as well. You should consider a firewall because it helps diminish malicious traffic. The firewall is 100% the internet bouncer. It lets you know the good and the bad. It gives you the ability to control what comes in and what goes out. And you definitely want to see what comes in because you don't want to be open for any kind of threats or potential risk. Next on my list of quick tips is quality antivirus. I say antivirus because it's overlooked greatly. A lot of people will install a free version of a software that they find and then wonder why their protection is gone. Most free trials are very expensive after that trial is over, and some of them, if you take no action, remove the protection. So you definitely want to avoid that by making sure you have a quality antivirus software that's up to date and can be updated. Some antivirus that's out there is very old and no longer receives any kind of updates and is long past its useful life. You definitely want to do your homework and find an antivirus that fits your needs, whether it's home or business. Secure email is the last thing on this quick tip list, and it's a simple thing that you can do. Make sure you have a quality spam filter. The spam filter is huge for avoiding any kind of emails that come in that could lead to potential threats to you, any kind of risk. This is the first line of defense as far as eliminating anything that could be harmful to you inside of your email environment. You just want to make sure you're getting crucial information that you need that's vital to your day-to-day life. That starts with organizing your email folders. It sounds simple, but when you're working from home all the time and we're getting more and more into this technological digital age of receiving information, you definitely want to stay on top of the world before it gets on top of you. Organizing those folders can help with that. It also helps you determine which information you need and which you don't. So definitely when it comes to getting rid of information you don't need, you want to stay on top of that, delete it. If it is something you might need, look into archiving. Archiving is great. You can go back years and years and years, find information that you need to bring up that's relevant again. Deleting your junk emails, you definitely want to do that as soon as you can. Junk emails sit there, they seem harmless, but they could be something that would be an issue for you or your environment. Clickbait's a great example of that. something that comes through that looks like it's coming from a source that you may know, that you're not sure about, that has an instant link, you definitely don't want to click on that. Just get rid of it. Better safer than sorry. Stay tuned for more. This is one of the many aspects of IT that we are looking at, whether it's in the IT field for support or cybersecurity. We're definitely looking at a lot here. So we want to inform our community, the public, and do that through the Marlboro Regional Chamber. So the four of us IT professionals have come together to deliver this information, and we hope everybody takes advantage of it. Dave Vecchio from Suite 3. He is going to launch a seminar himself for working secure, remote work, working from home. That's going to take place on March 26, 2021. End of the month. Every month, you'll see a segment from the four IT professionals touching base on something in the IT support field. Things that will help you better yourselves in technology around you. It is our pleasure to do so. Keep an eye out for Dave Vecchio. You definitely want to tune in for this and don't miss out. I want to thank everybody for their time, and I hope that you got something out of this. Thank you.
Hey everyone, it's Steve Messinio. Once again, want to take a moment on behalf of Ty, Emily, and Dave to thank you for participating in today's presentation. We appreciate you taking the time to learn about cybersecurity, and we know we have some really great content for you in the next couple of months as we continue to expand upon the information we provided for you today. If you have any questions that you'd like to ask, what we ask you to do is look at the contact information you see on the screen. Feel free to reach out to one of us, or all of us for that matter, and ask us some questions through email or give us a phone call. All of us would be happy to assist you, and of course address any other IT infrastructure concerns that you may have in your business. So once again, thank you for attending, and we look forward to seeing you in the next presentation, which will be hosted by Dave Del Vecchio. Have a great week.